Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi, Batra. This is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the day street. With me is Bhatnagar right here in the studios. Shail, we were discussing early in the morning and you were saying kursi ki peti बांध लेनी चाहिए क्योंकि अब तो बहुत तेजी आने वाली है और आज ही के दिन 22,126 का निफ्टी पर एक नया हाई तो बन गया है और so your Saraswati was sitting when you said that in the morning. That has happened. So that has happened and now we are looking at some profits being taken off from that all-time high level that we have touched today on the Nifty. 21,870 right now, 174 points higher, but it's a green screen in front of you. It's 0.8% of a surge on the Nifty. Nifty Bank has seen some profits taken off. It was higher than 0.9% in the morning trade in the by half time, and we did see some pull back from there. But all the sectors are still in the green, barring private banks and FMCG. These two are seeing slight bit of profit booking, but rest of them are firing away. Oil and gas, 3.8% higher. That's the Nifty oil and gas index for you. A very, very sharp move coming in, especially on the stocks like BPCL. That's up 10% in trade today. A very smart move on this one. ONGC follows. Then you have all the PSUs like Power Grid, NTPC, Coal India. They're all firing away in trade. So it's the PSU rally that continues clearly, Shail.
Absolutely. And I never stop myself from repeating that it's the crisis of plenty. And Sakshi, just to pat our PCR team on their back, we'll start the conversation with the 22,000 Nifty call that we had picked up at 140, 145, 150 rupees, somewhere in the vicinity of 9:30 p.m., 9:30 a.m., 9:35 a.m. Let's see what the price is, but I'd just like to point out that what was picked at about 150 rupees, somewhere like 9:30, went all the way up to Sakshi, 263 rupees.
Wow.
So that's how, ladies and gentlemen, momentum is trapped at your end, and I am repeatedly telling you, kursi ki peti bandh lijiye. My estimate was that we'll see a record high next week. The high happened within 2.5 hours of our previous morning conversation. And let's get ready, Sakshi, to begin with for 22,500. And then we'll see how to take it forward from then on. The Nifty is up 177 for you. More importantly, the IT index, Sakshi, is up almost 1.9%. And this is accompanied by a very, very sharp uptick in a lot of index heavyweights. We'll tell you the pullers and draggers. Those are the stocks that are impacting the Nifty. And no surprise here, Sakshi, that Reliance, out of the 177 points in the green that you see the Nifty in, 40 are contributed by the 1.7% uptick in Reliance. Infosys, let's get it on the screen, almost going to 1,700 rupees. 34 points are contributed to by Infosys. TCS, 26 points, up 2.6%. And surprise, surprise, BPCL. Sakshi and I were just talking about what two stocks to discuss in the conversation when Market Today starts. And it just came to us attention that BPCL is up 10.5%. And this is contributing 13 points to Nifty's rally. So BPCL, NTPC, Indian Oil Corporation, Reliance, these are four components of the Nifty Energy Index, which is the top gainer today, up 3.2%, and all four of them are at record highs on a very, very substantial increase in volume. So a price volume momentum breakout, and this is the right time to welcome Soni Patnaik.
All right. Soni, good afternoon to you.
मैं ही कह देता हूँ.
And yet again, we are color coordinated in red. I remember the last time we were discussing when we were wearing red, both of us together, was on the special trading session on a Saturday. And that is the time when we were discussing that, we are going to be attracting bulls because it's been long since they had been away from the markets. And yet again, it's record highs today that we've seen on the Nifty, and both of us are paired in the red.
Good afternoon, Sakshi and Shailendra, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I think, yes, of course, synchronicity at its best, and I certainly do hope that, we have more of bulls charged days ahead going forward. And, today's panic is just like out of the blue, and we've done water under the bridge so that we can see more upside move from here on.
Okay, so for those of you who are wondering why the bulls are prancing on the Lal Street, well, the reason is clear in front of you. It's the color coordination between the two ladies that's making the bulls see red, and they're galloping away on the Lal Street. Good afternoon to you, Soni. Let's look at what your offerings are in terms of stock picks, and then we'll get into a detailed discussion. What are the two stocks that are looking good to you for now until 3:30?
Shailendra, from current level, I think I would pick NTPC first. It has shown very good breakout today. Volumes are good, RSI positive, divergence, and very good long built up positions. So NTPC is looking positive for a move of 340 to 345, and on the downside there is multiple support, but immediate basis 325, 324 holds as a very crucial key support. So I think NTPC is quite bullish from current levels, and the positive is quite the structure is quite positive. So this being the first pick. The second pick that I would have is from the realty space, which is Godrej Properties. Godrej Properties has broken above a resistance of 2400 and is holding very strongly above 2360. Multiple times I've seen that it has been trying to bounce back above this level. So I think Godrej Property on a positional basis is looking quite strong for upside targets of 2500 and with a stop loss support of 2360. So I think both the picks are on the on the buy side, and considering how volatile the markets are, it's better to remain stock specific focused rather than going just with indices.
Okay. Well, Soni, we have to ask you on the stock that we were both discussing before you joined, and that is BPCL, a 10.5% surge today. It's the top mover. How do you see this fresh move on BPCL, and the kind of surge that we've seen, of course, in the last 6 months odd is also surprising, but today's move has further surprised many.
Definitely, I think a very strong breakout. Volumes have, are quite at high. It has crossed last 10 days average as well, and very, very aggressive long build position of more than 10% alone. I think BPCL on a positional basis is looking quite strong and can test 620 odd levels in the coming days. Of course, from current level, there's no risk reward ratio, which seems favorable to enter at current level. If somebody's already entered from lower levels, can continue to hold the stock up to levels of 600, 620 as a higher target. And one can continue to trail these stop losses. Right now, one can trail the stop loss to 530, 520 odd levels. That seems to be the immediate basis of support. So I think this stock is quite good. And in any case, in the next 2 to 3 days, if there is any sort of a 1 to 2% of a dip or a correction that can be seen in the stock, it will just serve a very good base to re-enter and reinitiate the longs again for the ultimate target of 620.
Okay, Sakshi, BPCL is not alone.
Yeah.
It's a record high on Indian Oil Corporation. I distinctly remember last week, somewhere early this week, we had discussed the huge undervaluation of Indian Oil Corporation in relation to how other stocks have moved. Even at these current record high levels, the level of undervaluation is phenomenal. HPCL should also come on your screen. I think 490 in front of you, 495, 496. This is also a record high. HPCL does not get reflected in any index, therefore we missed watching it, but it is also at a record high in front of you on the screens. What else is moving? Actually, there is so much to discuss that one makes it difficult for oneself to even put them in a stack. Okay, let's look at the PSU basket. And Sakshi, two stocks that I'd like to mention within the PSU banking space. One is Punjab and Sindh Bank, up about 16% today, 62.85. And the other stock, of course, is Union Bank of India and Indian Overseas Bank. These stocks are also running away, and the logic is the same. Fantastic balance sheet, a lot of retail interest that's coming in into such counters, and our favorite low ticket high beta ya chota packet bada dhamaka, whatever you want.
That's wonderful. Let's quickly take some of the PSU banks. I want to take all of those PSU banks that are running away in trade. And of course, you've been talking about all of these Chota Packet Bada Dhamaka shares for a long time, Shell, and stunning rallies what we have seen.
Stunning rallies.
In all of them. And no one would even come near these PSU banks at least some years back, and no one would even think of including them in the portfolios. And even now they are at such attractive valuations, most of them available below 100 rupees odd or so as well. Sony, how would you really look at all of these moves, and which is the stock which is coming strongest on your charts, like as of now, which is like perhaps looking at an uncharted territory, and this is the time that one should be really tapping onto the momentum?
I think Sakshi, PSU banks, they've seen very, very strong move. PNB, it was a very strong breakout above 100, 105. And I do remember we discussed it also like 2 weeks ago, where it was looking for 115 or targets, although it has overperformed, and 125 is what we've seen. The only PSU bank which has actually not performed quite in comparison to its peers is SBI. Even if you see Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, they've all made like very strong highs recently, except for SBI. And SBI is just on the verge of giving a good breakout. 660 is the resistance level. So any move above 660 will be 52-week high again. In fact, all-time highs for SBI, and the stock can soar quite high towards 700. So the stock is quite strong. On weekly charts, I can see it has given a breakout already. There's a very good positive divergence of RSI on weekly as well. So on a positional basis, SBI is a stock which one must enter, from the current levels if one has to see. So one can see from the current levels, very strong support of 620 on immediate basis. So keeping a stop loss of 620, 615 on a maximum on lower side, and targets of 1700. SBI remains a best pick, which has not performed and is likely to perform in the next few days.
Okay. Actually, I think, Sakshi, let me just try and rustle up some data on the PSU banking set.
Yes.
SBI, even at record high levels, is a relative underperformer when the kind of movement that you've seen on other stocks. I have some 1-year data with me. I'll just share this wonderful information. Okay, SBI is up just 24% एक साल में, जो कि अब हमें बहुत बुरा लगता है इतना कम रिटर्न. Bank of Baroda in the same duration is up 68%. Canara Bank is 82% higher on a 1-year basis, and hold your breath, PNB 150% higher over the last 1 year, which essentially means that it was somewhere like what's the price now, 127. So you have to decrease it by 2/3, right, because that's 150 for you. So it was somewhere like 40 bucks.
40 rupees or so.
Right. So that's the kind of rally that you've seen, and there are more admirers of PNB at 127 rupees than they were at 40 rupees. So that's how, that's the logic of the market, and that's how it works. But hectic activity. We had pointed to a change in the digit on Canara Bank just yesterday, and even from those levels, it's up to the extent of 5%. Sony, to you, Canara Bank 525. This is a 10-year breakout.
Right, so Shailendra, Canara Bank was a very strong breakout in recent charts above 460, 470, and the stock has performed very well. I think it crossed 520 yesterday. In fact, it was one of the top picks, which was indicating that by today itself it could have tested 520, and it has actually outperformed 525. Going forward, 500 becomes an immediate support, because once where there were a lot of call writers, they've actually exited, and you can see a lot of put writing happening at 500 odd levels. I think 500 on immediate short term basis is a good support. On any 2% of a dip from current level, as long as the support is getting held on 500 basis, so I think that can be a re-entry point again, and the stock can go to higher levels of 550 to 560 as well.
So that's the view coming in on Canara Bank. Remember, these are very, very high retail investor oriented and popular stocks. Not only have they performed when it comes to their stock price, but the balance sheets, the earnings potential, and the third quarter earnings have defied common logic and come out fantastically well. Punjab National Bank in particular, if you see the price in front of you, is 127, and I'd just like to point out the results that had come in about 3-4 days ago, and we had mentioned at that point of time, I think the stock was somewhere like 105, 106 rupees at that point of time.
Okay.
Third quarter profit had actually gone up 3 times, from 650 crores in the third quarter last year to about 2,225 crores in the present third quarter. So that's how prices are moving, and it's not as if it's a party only on the banking side and the energy side. It's across the board, and that's visible in the advanced decline ratio when it comes to the National Stock Exchange. We have about 1,200 stocks in the green and 800 in the red.
Wow.
And we track somewhere like 93 public sector companies, Sakshi. Let me just give you the number. How many of them are in the red? About just 10 of them are in the red, and those losses are just between 0.25% and 3.5%. The top loser today in the PSU space is RITES, 3.5% lower, 677. No complaints there. The stock would have probably doubled in the last 45 trading sessions.
Absolutely.
Strong moves, and the housing sector today is in fantastic shape. Look at NBCC, look at HUDCO, look at all the public sector banks which have huge home portfolios, and the housing finance companies from leading banks such as Canara Bank, PNB, GIC and LIC. Sakshi.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a crisis of plenty clearly, Shell, like you point out. I mean, of course, all the sectors, there's so many stocks to talk about and to discuss with Sony. Let me talk about Engineers India with you, Sony. 12.5% higher on this one. It's the top mover on the Nifty 500 basket. Its price is now at 266.35. What would you say here after this sharp move?
So here also I can see there's a good price volume breakout on charts, and volume is also, it has crossed the last 10 days of average. So stock is looking quite strong. On immediate basis, it has crossed above 250. So 250 is your immediate basis support. If somebody is already holding from lower levels, can actually trail the stop losses to 250. The stock is looking positive for an upside of 280, 285. I think that can be seen in the coming few days. RSI positive divergence as well. So I think stock overall on charts is looking for a bullish upside of 280 to 85.
Engineers India is also one of those public sector companies. Let me just give you a correlation, Sakshi. Engineers India designs, it's of course a public sector company, and it designs and the refineries for the 3 major OMCs, which is IOC, BPCL and HPCL.
Wow.
And that's the correlation. Those stocks are also up between 6 and 10%, and this one's up 11%. Those 3 are at a record high.
Yeah.
This one is also at a record high.
Wonderful.
So that's something that you can look at the inevitability and the common sense on which markets operate. What else is moving? So we'll club SGVN and NHPC in the energy space because they are of course hydropower product makers, and 8% on NHPC. I think the intraday high on NHPC is in 3 digits if I am not wrong. Let me just tell you that the intraday high is 103 and the counter is now at 98.65. And of course a fresh record high, this one as well. All of these moves are coming on strong volumes which are higher than 5-day averages. Sakshi.
One more stock that I have looked at, Shell, and that is Gujarat Ambuja Exports. Let's pull up that stock. That stock is not just at the day's high but also at record high now. A sharp 4% move has come in. The company has just come out with its earnings, but the trigger, I think, that's moved the stock is not the earnings but the announcement that the board has okayed a 1-for-1 bonus share issue on Gujarat Ambuja Exports. A very, very sharp spike coming in on Gujarat Ambuja Exports. Sony, your take on this stock, and how should one be really looking at tapping the opportunity of now garnering one free share going forward from here?
So Sakshi, Gujarat Ambuja Exports, I can see on weekly basis it has given a breakout, and the breakout level is 410. It is currently at 414. So I think it has just given a breakout. RSI also on weekly basis has just turned positive. So the stock on a positional basis is actually looking quite good. You can see it, heading towards an uncharted territory towards maybe around 100, 430, 440 odd levels. And on immediate basis, of course, I mean, 410 remains a crucial level above which today's closing is mandatory for the stock to move towards 430, 440. But one must have to place stop loss at 395. I think that's a very crucial support. So 395 stop loss, 430, 440 can be the target on a weekly basis.
Okay, that's the view coming in on a bonus announcement as far as GAEL is concerned. Let's look at some unusual stock, Sakshi, that's moving, and it's called Inox Wind. Again, the renewable space that's doing phenomenally well, and if I'm not wrong, at 507, this should be a record high. No, it isn't. The record high is somewhere in the vicinity of 541, but at the moment at 505, it's moving pretty well when it comes to the volume show, and the volume is at the moment 21.8 lakh shares as far as this one's concerned. We generally don't talk about such stocks because most of the time it's spent on PSU basket and the index heavyweights, but here is another one for you. I'm just pointing to Inox Wind Limited. This is Inox Energy, again at a record high, but it's the same group. So Inox Wind, Inox Energy and Inox Green, these are the three players from the same management, and all three of them are doing pretty well. Sakshi.
Okay,
yes, correct.
Let's look at a few more stocks then and see what appeals to Sony at this point in time. IT, let's discuss IT now. Sony, 2% higher. And of course, stocks like Cyient are buzzing in the broader market space. The Nifty, of course, has a lot of winners like Wipro, Infi, LTI Mindtree. You have all of them buzzing in action again. Coforge, I was looking at in the morning, that also was buzzing as well. The entire IT pack, how are you placed and what would you do in some of the stocks here?
I think Sakshi, going forward, IT may look to stabilize and extend some support to Nifty in terms of how volatile the market is going to be going forward. The pre-election part of it. So IT can actually extend that good support. In fact, if we see some large cap ITs are heading towards showing that support, they are leading from the front, like TCS and Infosys, Wipro themselves. Infosys is looking quite good from current levels. It has broken above 1700 level today, and there's a lot of put writing happening at 1700 put, but of course not a lot of call unwinding at that level. So go next week, it will be quite imperative for Infosys to sustain above 1720 to continue showing that up moves. I think Infosys, if that can do above 1721 once more, it can definitely head towards 1800 odd levels in the coming days. So I think that's one stock one can look at. There are also multiple support. Even if 1700 is breaking on closing basis today, you can see 1650 is a very strong support. So in any case, Infosys is all looking quite strong to enter from current level, and very strong support of 1650. This is from the large cap IT space. Similarly on TCS also looking quite strong. Wipro also, if we speak about it as of now, it has shown a good breakout and can test 500 510 levels in the near term. From the mid cap IT space, Coforge is one stock which was looking good in the morning. It has after significant correction, it has actually bounced back from current levels. So I think Coforge on a positional basis, 6600 is looking quite strong to be tested. On an immediate basis, 6300, 6250 is a strong support band. As long as the band is holding, it can test 6600. So these are the top two picks from the large and mid cap IT space.
Okay, Sakshi, I think profit booking is accelerating a bit. The Nifty in front of you is now at 21,840. Remember, the intraday high is 22,124. So that's 160 plus 124, somewhere in the vicinity of 284 point corrective rally from the day's high that we have seen. And no surprises there. People want to have money over the weekend and party like hard. And that's what happened. In the case of Nifty Bank, it's now in negative territory. Remember, the high for the day, Sakshi, as far as the Nifty Bank was concerned, is something in the vicinity of 48,850. Okay, let's be a little conservative. So 46,850, and now you are now at about 46,000. So that's a 800 point downtick from the high of the day, and lots of stocks are now giving up early morning gains. People don't want to get into an extended format when you make a huge gain. You just want to book it and feel happy over the weekend and maybe party in Goa if you're living in Bombay and being close to that lovely sea city. That's how it is. Sony hasn't got the joke, but it's okay.
Well, Sony, what are your weekend plans? Are you going to be taking off to Lonavala or Kandala?
No, nothing at all. I think yesterday was quite a hectic day with the budget.
Yeah.
And yesterday and today we can see markets are all over the place actually, from a lot of wild swings can be seen. So I think I'll just take the next 2 days to lay low and unwind myself so that, be ready for the next week's volatility.
Okay, best plan there. Well, good time to take a short break right now. When we return, the last half an hour of trade and what should be your strategies coming up next, so stay tuned.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today. Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, The 5-year agenda with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today, 32 years of leadership, innovation and business brilliance. Subscribe now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Market Today on Business Today Television. We are in conversation with Soni Patnaik, who's helping us navigate through the last half an hour of trades on the markets. 145 points down, up on the Nifty at 21,843 currently, and you can see slight profits being taken off from the table when we talk about the highs, because we've touched record high levels today of 22,126. The Nifty Bank is actually the one that has to be blamed for the profits from the top level. It's now half odd percent lower. It's also slipped below the 46,000 mark. So it's the Nifty Bank and the financial services index that have slipped lower. The rest of the market still in fine fettle, and we're looking at some good green screen in front of us right now. In terms of what's pulling down the market from those highs, you can look at HDFC Bank, 1.5% down, Axis Bank, about 1.5% down again. You have L&T, ITC, Titan, ICICI Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank. So the big four banks, those are the ones that are not participating in this rally, Shail.
Yeah, Sakshi, now that we've started the last half an hour of the session and also we are headed into the weekend, something needs to be marked on the volume front, and that's how the market is now treating stocks post the interim budget. That's a clarification or a background that you need to note. So today's most active traded stock, Sakshi, is NHPC, up 10.5%, and 4,500 crores worth of shares have been traded. The second most active stock is NBCC, 19% higher, fresh record high, 3,709 crores worth of transactions have happened. Then come the three index heavyweights, HDFC Bank, Reliance and L&T. No surprise in the volume structure there. But what's really interesting, Sakshi, is that out of the first 11 stocks in terms of volume, 8 of them are PSUs, all 8 are in the green, and all of them, which is NHPC, NBCC, HUDCO, BPCL, SJVN, IOC, are record highs.
Wow.
So you need to understand what the trader mentality is and where are you seeing consistent gains, and if you are not in this part of the market, then probably you're scratching your head trying to understand what the market is doing. If you're in this part of the market, then obviously you know you're in the right train, and that train is accelerating. Sakshi.
Absolutely. A whole host of this PSU stocks that are on the move, and the other space, let me just bring out now metals pack that's been doing well, 2.5% higher. And of course, along with a lot of PSU stocks here, private stocks are also moving up. So you have Tata Steel, JSW Steel, that's also moving up. Hindalco is up in trade. SAIL, of course, is one of the top movers in the F&O action, almost 7.5–8% higher in trade as well. Soni, how would you really look at this entire metal move, and where exactly would you keep your focus on?
So a lot of stocks on metals pack have actually given you a good breakout, and from NMDC we can see it is looking quite strong to head towards 240. All the stocks in fact have given out good breakouts, but the fresh breakout that has actually come today would be from the national aluminium, that is NALCO, and 150 was the level. So I think 150 is an immediate support. 150 to 145, that band is a very good support. It can head 160, 165 on the higher side. So I think one can buy NALCO from current levels and on slight dip towards 150, keep a stop loss of 145 now, and then look for targets from 160 to 165.
Again, NALCO, I need to mention, Sakshi, a record high on this one, and a strong move coming in on its, how should I say, PSU peer NMDC as well. Remember, we had discussed NMDC at 230 rupees in the morning, and it went up all the way to 237.40. This will be a record closing high on NMDC. The company came up, my apologies, it's not a record closing high. This is the highest close since March of, since April of 2010. So that needs to be kept into mind, and that would bring it to a 13-year high on NMDC. The company reported a very, very strong production number for the month of January. Sakshi.
Okay. Let's now look at some more movers at this point in time. Let's discuss some of the movers from the housing finance companies that we were discussing in the morning, and how we are seeing the entire real estate pack is in buzz, and the housing theme is really buzzing. We saw Canfin Homes in trade in the morning, and that is still up about 8% higher. And your Repco Home Finance, that was the one that was moving up again. Then you have LIC Housing Finance also up in trade. Anything from this basket, Sony, that interests you, the housing finance names?
I think recently we've seen some move coming in, especially in stock like LIC Housing Finance, which has recently broken above a resistance of 600, 610 odd levels. So it is currently around 635. Any small dip, maybe 2% dip in the stock around 620 can be seen as a level to reinitiate the longs again, keeping a stop loss of 600, and it can bounce back towards 640 once more. I think the entire pack is slightly buy on dips in a current marketly, because understanding how the market is quite volatile. So maybe like a small 2 to 3% of correction in the entire pack, on any dip can be seen as a re-entry point once more.
Okay. Sony, would you want to share your view on Paytm? The reason why we ask is that there are innumerable questions coming in from retail investors who are obviously stuck at higher levels, and 2 consecutive 20% circuits on the downside haven't helped sentiment at all. In fact, there is no exit, at least for the retail guy who may hesitate to sell, but even if it wants to, he's stuck at a circuit. What is your gut feel telling you about Paytm stock, and if you can give us a chart check on this one?
I think Shailendra, the stock is looking extremely weak on charts. In fact, if I look at weekly and monthly charts, it has given such drastic breakdowns. The next support for the stock is can be seen around 440. So I think the stock may not see any relief until this level is tested. Obviously, there's not any likely possible way to say that it should be the point where the stock will stop falling and see a reversal. That also may not seem so appropriate even at those 440 odd levels. It is wise to just exit from the stock. It is looking quite weak, and there are better stocks in this overall sector, where the investors can actually look at some other stock for the investment in terms of the holdings as such. I think it's just wise to exit from a technical perspective, book the losses and exit from the stock, and enter into another space where fundamentally a far cleaner picture can be seen drawing out for the coming future or so.
Okay, we have no, how should I say, sugar coated advice for you. Both Sakshi and I have done about a 5-minute section on Paytm as to what triggered this crisis and what are the possible levels to which Paytm can fall to, and some of those levels have also been mentioned by Sony. Of course, it's a call at your own end, and you need to exercise all due diligence, and at the same time still seek independent financial advice on what to do. 2 days of consecutive 20% circuits on the downside essentially mean that it's a falling knife, and please do not try to bottom fish on this one unless the regulatory haze on the stock is over. Sakshi.
Absolutely, there is a lot of caution that needs to be, had on Paytm, and not really look at catching the falling knife at this point in time, as most of our experts on our channel have been saying from yesterday till the time situation really stabilizes at this point in time. One stock that I was watching out for is Himmat Singha Seede. After a long haul, I'm looking at a sharp move of 4.5% odd on this stock. It's moved up with volumes as well in trade today. If you can look at the stock, Sony, and if you track this stock, what would you say? 4% up right now?
Definitely, along with being 4% up, it has also crossed its 20 days of volume average for the last past 20 days. So I think that's also very high volumes for this stock. And on the upside, of course, 180 seems to be a resistance, but the fall that we can see from 180 to 172 currently in the last 2 hours or so is because of how volatile the overall market is. But the stock on a positional basis looks quite strong, and once more, if it's able to cross 180, you can see it heading higher towards 200 odd levels. I think the stock is quite positionally well placed, and there are multiple support. 160 is the immediate support on charts, followed by 155, 152. There are multiple support levels. So I think the stock is well placed, and keep your stop losses to 160 as of now. If it's bouncing back above 180, you can see definitely it heading towards 195, 200 odd levels.
Okay.
That's the view on Himmat Singha Seede. And taking it away, Sakshi, in the last 10-15 minutes of trade is Shipping Corporation of India. You won't believe the volumes that I'm seeing in front of you. Let's just get the chart in front of us. And of course, needless to add, this is also a record high on the counter, and one of those stocks and one of those companies that found mention on the divestment list. It's just sort of 45 crore shares, 43 crore shares have been traded so far, and this is the highest at least in the last 12 months. Sony, I hesitate in asking a technical view because the charts are overstretched, but if you could just maybe look at the chart, Shipping Corp.
I think very high volumes in the past 2 days, and the stock no fresh entry point from current levels. If there's any sort of a small dip of 4 to 5%, it remains wise to enter on dip. Multiple support, but on weekly basis, the support is around 220. So as long as 220 is getting defended on a positional medium term basis, it is better to always enter on dip for this stock. And 220 is a very good support. On a very medium term basis, it can definitely head high towards 320 plus levels.
Okay. Shail, you were talking about shares, 1 or 2 days back, and I can now see Sri Renuka Sugar is also 5% higher in trade, almost at 49.5. Also some move coming in on Balrampur Chini. Let's pull up all the sugar stocks and see if it is extending to all the other shares as well. Triveni Sugar. All of these stocks, if they're buzzing in trade, and the entire pack. Sony, if you also track any sugar stocks, do give us, a view there as to how are you really looking at the entire pack now, and is there a sweet space that one should be looking at getting into?
I think the entire pack has seen some movement today, but it's not very confirmed data points. The only stock that I can look at right now is Sri Renuka Sugars. There is a closing above 200 EMA, and the 200 EMA is placed around 48 and a half. So I think current CMP is 49.5. So if it's able to close today above 48.5, there's good volumes also, very strong volume. In fact, the past 5 days volume average is crossed, so it's quite strong from that point of view. Provided 48.5 is being defended on closing basis today. On weekly basis, it can definitely head higher towards 54 odd levels. So one can hold the stock, from current levels, and keep a stop loss of 47, and look for targets of 54.
It's a bit of a sweetener that's getting added into the market, and this was one of the highest beta stocks in the sugar space about two and a half years ago. Sakshi, not many people know this is a multinational which is going a begging at this price point and at this valuation. This is not a recommendation to buy, but you need to, the homework that people will do over the weekend is look at Sri Renuka's financials and look at the financials of Indian Oil Corporation, and then realize that why the market is bidding up the work that IOC is doing. Sakshi, the other sector that we never discuss is the ratings agencies. I'd like to point out for the first time, at least in the last 6 months that I've been here, a stock which is CARE rating, and surprise, surprise, all these rallies are happening after the budget. 1175 for you. This is, yes, CRISIL, CARE ratings, as also a company called ICRA. These are the three very well known credit rating agencies that we have, and all of them are doing phenomenally well in the market today, just after the interim budget.
Oh yes, absolutely. And you know, one more space after the interim budget that's moving up is the entire tourism space. Remember, Finance Minister did mention that they are interested in providing some support to state governments to build up their tourism as well. And we've seen the kind of interest from this government that we've seen on both Lakshadweep and the Ram Mandir as well. The kind of makeover that they're looking at creating in spiritual tourism. Is my trip 5.5% higher. The other stock that I want you to watch is India Tourism Development Corporation, ITDC. That was up 20% yesterday. It's again up on a 10% circuit in trade today. In the past 5 days, it's moved up 31% odd. Last 1 month, it's moved up 82%. 6 months move, it has moved up 135% odd as well. Sony, if you track this space, any stock that you would like to comment on from this entire basket?
Definitely, I think the India tourism development stock is actually looking quite good, because today also it is 10% higher. And of course, there is a dip. If it can be seen around 780 odd levels, it will be a better stock to re-enter. However, fresh entry from the current level can be avoided. Only a buy on dips is far better on the stock.
Okay, that's coming on ITDC, and again the same PSU target on the PSU tag on this one. A bit of a issue on ITDC, Sakshi. A lot of these stocks are also rising because of low float, and therefore liquidity is cornered.
Yeah.
And it just needs a decent sized long side order, which will just kick the stock into a fresh orbit. Indigo, we'll take a look at it. The stock at 31.45. I'm presuming this is a record high. Earnings are expected today, and probably any moment, as far as the price seems to be ticking. And the other earnings boy today is Tata Motors. So these are the two that will be coming over the weekend, and both of them are likely to announce sterling numbers. In the case of Indigo, the highest ever profit and the highest ever top line, as what the market is expecting. And the counter, without any doubt, is actually at its highest level, and I'm sure this is also a record high. Let me just check this and confirm. The volume is also pretty strong today, being it earnings. Yes, this is a record high, Sakshi, on Indigo, and we'll look at the earnings once they come. But 322, and since the stock is moving so sharply, I'm presuming that sensible people know what's in the pipeline, and therefore you see this momentum. If the earnings are in sync with what they are supposed to be, Monday will be a gap up.
Okay. Engineers India, we were talking about right now, it's come out with its earnings.
Yes, correct.
And October to December revenue has come in at 856 crores, and the profits have come into the tune of 50 odd crores over here. And in fact, the company has decided to pay 2 rupees per share interim dividend as well. So that's Engineers India for you. However, there is a slight dip from the day's high level that you're looking at on Engineers India. We'll have to see whether the estimates were perhaps higher, and although there is growth.
No, Sakshi, this is sell on news and buy on rumor or expectations. When you've seen the consolidated net profit of 63 crores versus 16 crores, so that's a 3.5x move that has come in ahead of the weekend, and a sensible person who's a practical trader will take the money away and wait for the stock to correct. Like I said, they're just too overstretched on the charts, and this is a sensible time to book profit. You should book profit while profit is there.
Absolutely, and very well said. Cyient, we were discussing, it's now topping the Nifty 500 charts. It's 9% or 9.5% higher in trade. Record high levels for this one, 2115 currently on Cyient. Would you like to comment on this one, Soni?
So I think stock is looking, it was seeing some sort of movement in the morning, and the entire IT pack is actually looking quite good. So from current levels, if we see, it is looking decent. It's trying to close above the 50 EMA, and also a short term 20 EMA also that I can see, which is around 2118. So provided if it's able to cross and close above 2118, then next week we can see a positional basis can be tested around 2300. So stock is decent. It's giving a bounce back from current levels, and 2300 can be looked at the next resistance on the upside.
Okay, it's not a record high though. It's my mistake that I said record high. It's 2157 is the day's high at this point in time on Cyient. So that's the view that's coming in on Cyient. Let's look, we're just about 6 minutes away from the day's close. 144 points still higher on the Nifty, and 21,842 by our side. Power grid, that's the one that's moving up 4.2% higher in trade. Soni, I'll ask you a very difficult question. NTPC versus power grid. Where are you going to go?
I will definitely go for NTPC. So
That's a
NTPC,
pick too, yeah.
so NTPC is looking quite good, like I've already explained from current levels. And just a disclaimer to add to this talk, we've also recommended on GM clients, we've recommended NTPC. It is also a Diwali pick which is quite high, and the technical Diwali pick for this stock on a high basis is 345. Apart from that, 330 call option is also advised to our GM clients. But technically also it is looking quite strong. And if you look at power grid, not that the stock is weak as of now, the stock is also quite strong. I would just wait for a small dip to reinitiate any longs in when it comes to power grid. There's a resistance of 280 today, and it does not seem to be closing above that. So there's a lot of call writing which is at 280 level for power grid. So maybe a small dip towards 270, 265 will be a better buying zone again, keeping a stop loss of 255. And then again it bounces back to 280. In comparison to that, NTPC does not have any such resistance as of now. The next resistance for NTPC is actually around 345 odd level. So I think risk reward ratio wise, keeping a stop loss of 325, NTPC is still giving a better risk reward ratio for targets of 345.
Yes, and while both the stocks have been in the limelight for most obvious reasons, clean balance sheets, predictable revenue streams, phenomenal profit and profitability. Sakshi, these are low beta counters compared with the kind of moves that you see on NHPC, SGVN, and their business, especially power grids and NTPCs, of course, is on a more predictable line. Bijli aap chalayenge, to NTPC ka kaam. So that's the way forward. Let's just mark a couple of stocks. Inox Wind, we had discussed at 505. It's now at 513, and probably next week this one should also head for a different orbit, probably higher. Like I had mentioned, the stock has an all-time high of 525, if I'm not wrong. Yes, 535. It should see some more traction coming in. No let up on Shipping Corporation of India. Last time we had checked, it was 264. Now it's 269.90, moving up very, very sharply. These are the last 3 minutes of the trade. Coforge, Sony had mentioned 64.55, and the profit booking on frontline banks continues. I'd like to see HDFC Bank on the screen. I just want to see what is the intraday high for this one. Well, it's 1480, and sadly for the bank and sadly for the shareholders, it's again closing at day's low. So that's how it is. Let's wrap it up, Sakshi. Fabulous Friday.
Yes,
Thank God it's
absolutely.
Friday.
Thank God it's Friday, and we know that Sony is going to be having, really relaxed weekend going forward from here. And Michelle, I know that you're going to be partying hard.
Yes, yes.
On Friday evening. So it pans out to be a great day and a great week coming to an end. With this kind of a move on the Nifty, we are definitely up on the positive zone for the week on the Nifty, snapping away 2 weeks of losses for the Nifty again. So once again, bulls are back on the street, 21,849, 150 points higher. That's 0.7% of an uptick being seen on the Nifty. What's on the red? It's the Nifty Bank again. After lending some support for 1 or 2 days, it's back in the red, 0.6%. And you know that it's big heavyweight banks that are not contributing, like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, still coming down under pressure and not finding that continuous strength to go in a one-way upward journey as of yet. So that's as far as the markets are concerned. Thanks a lot, Sony, for being with us. We'll quickly wrap down the markets. Nifty top gainers, BPCL 10% higher in trade. Power Grid 9.5% up move for the 4.5% up move for this one. ONGC 4% up. Adani Ports 3.5% higher. NTPC 3.3% uptick in trade. Tata Steel, Hero MotoCorp, these are the top 5 movers on the Nifty. On the Nifty 500, you have Scient, that's up 9%. IOC, 9% higher. Abbott, you have 8.5% up. Indian Overseas Bank, Aditya Birla Capital, all upwards of 7 to 8% odd. Sectorally, Oil and Gas Index, the top sectoral mover today, 3.5% higher. Metals, IT, PSU Bank shine bright. Small caps and the mid caps also up into the green. We also have the realty space and the healthcare space that's contributed in the positive zone. F&O space largely garnered with gains on the BPCL, IOC and HPCL front. So oil marketing companies shining bright there. Steel Authority, Aditya Birla Capital, Canfin Homes and Abbott, the other movers as far as the F&O space is concerned. And with that, we wrap up the Friday's market trade and the week's market trade as well for you. 21,854 is where we end at. We will wrap it up at that, but the action continues on the other side on Business Today.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-risking the Future in collaboration with business